So, you think you're calm, huh? You think just because you don't scream when things go sideways, you've got it all figured out? Here's the truth. There are people who are calm because they've mastered themselves, and then there are people who are calm because they've given up. There are people who look peaceful, but are secretly dying inside. And then there's that rare person who genuinely doesn't care if the world's burning because they're too busy enjoying the warmth. The question is, which type of calm are you? Because I promise you, not all calmness is created equal. Some of it's fake, some of it's trauma, some of it's genius. And one type is so rare, it's almost mythical. Let's break it down. And hey, if you're the type of person who's ever wondered why you react the way you do when life gets messy, then you're going to want to stick around for this. Hit that subscribe button right now, because we're about to dive deep into the psychology of staying calm. And trust me, you'll want more content like this. Let's start with the most common one, the performer. This is the person who's built their entire personality around looking unbothered. You know who I'm talking about. The person at the family dinner who's smiling through Aunt Karen's passive-aggressive comments. The coworker who nods calmly during the meeting while their project is literally collapsing behind the scenes. The friend who says, "Yeah, I'm good," with a voice that could shatter glass if you listened close enough. Here's what's really happening. They're not calm. They're performing calmness. It's a show, and they're the lead actor. Inside their head, it's pure chaos. Alarms are going off. Panic buttons are being smashed. Their inner monologue sounds like a disaster movie. But on the outside, Oscar-worthy composure. Why do they do this? Control, or the illusion of it. See, the performer has learned that showing emotion equals vulnerability, and vulnerability equals danger. Maybe they grew up in an environment where expressing feelings got them punished or ignored. Maybe they've been burned one too many times by trusting people with their real emotions. So now they've perfected the art of the mask. And here's the thing, this actually works for a while. Psychologists call it emotional labor, and it's incredibly effective in the short term. You can fool your boss, your friends, even yourself for a bit. But the problem? You can't keep that up forever, because eventually the mask gets heavy. Eventually you snap over something small, like someone chewing too loud or the Wi-Fi being slow, and everyone's like, "Whoa, where did that come from?" And you're like, "I don't know, maybe from the 6 months of pretending everything's fine when it's not." The performer's calm is fragile. It's porcelain, beautiful to look at, but one wrong move and it shatters everywhere. Now, let's talk about type 2, the survivor. This is a completely different kind of calm. This isn't an act. This is scar tissue. This is someone who's been through absolute hell and came out the other side with this eerie, unshakable stillness. You've met this person. They're the one who hears bad news and barely blinks. They're the one who loses their job and just goes, "All right, what's next?" while everyone else is spiraling. They're the one who's weirdly comfortable in chaos, because chaos is their native language. But here's what most people don't understand. This calm wasn't a choice. It was survival. These are the people who've already lived through their worst-case scenario. Maybe it was losing someone they loved. Maybe it was betrayal, abuse, financial ruin, chronic illness. Whatever it was, it broke them once. And when they put themselves back together, something changed. They stopped being afraid of things that used to terrify them, because they already know they can survive it. There's a psychological term for this, post-traumatic growth. It's when people don't just recover from trauma, they transform because of it. They develop this deep,
quiet strength that's almost unsettling to be around, because while everyone else is worried about small stuff, the survivor is thinking, "You think this is bad? Let me tell you about bad." But don't mistake this for happiness. The survivor's calm often comes with a price. It's loneliness. It's emotional distance. It's the inability to get excited about things that used to matter because they've recalibrated their entire emotional scale. Good news feels muted. Bad news feels expected. Everything exists in this gray middle zone. They're not numb by choice. They're numb because feeling too much almost destroyed them once, and their brain decided never again.
Now, if you're watching this and thinking, okay, this is hitting way too close to home, then make sure you're subscribed, because we talk about this kind of psychology all the time. Real stuff, no fluff, just honest breakdowns of how our minds actually work. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already.
All right, type 3, the architect. This is my personal favorite because these people are playing 4D chess while everyone else is playing checkers. The architect isn't calm because they're faking it or because they're traumatized. They're calm because they've already thought through every possible outcome before it even happens. These are the planners, the overthinkers who somehow made overthinking work for them instead of against them. You know this person. They're the friend who has a backup charger, a first aid kit, snacks, and an evacuation route programmed into their brain at all times. They're the coworker who already has 3 solutions ready before anyone even realizes there's a problem. When disaster strikes, everyone turns to the architect. Why? Because they saw it coming. Not in a psychic way, in an obsessively prepared way. While you were living your life, they were mentally simulating catastrophes and planning contingencies. It sounds exhausting, and honestly, it kind of is. But the payoff? Unshakable confidence. See, the architect's calm comes from control. Not fake control like the performer, but real, tangible control. They've stripped uncertainty down to probabilities. They've turned anxiety into preparation. And by the time something actually goes wrong, they're bored of it because they've already lived through it in their heads 17 times. Here's the downside. They can't turn it off. Even in moments that should be relaxing, their brain is running background processes. What if the restaurant is closed? What if traffic is bad? What if? They're calm in crisis, but they're low-key stressed all the time in normal life. The architect trades constant low-level anxiety for immunity to panic. And honestly, for some people, that's a fair deal. And finally, we get to the rarest type, the unicorn, the mystic. This is the person who's genuinely, authentically, deeply calm. Not because they're pretending, not because they've been broken, not because they've planned for everything, but because they've achieved something most of us spend our whole lives chasing. Acceptance. The mystic doesn't fight reality. They don't resist what is. When something bad happens, they don't spiral into, "Why me?" or "This is unfair." They just go, okay, so this is what's happening now. And then they adapt, effortlessly, gracefully, like water flowing around a rock. You tell the mystic the flight's delayed? Cool, I'll read my book. You tell them the restaurant messed up their order? No worries, I'll try something new. You tell them they didn't get the job? Guess that wasn't the right fit. What's next? It's almost infuriating how unbothered they are. But here's the secret. The mystic has done the internal work. They've detached their peace from external circumstances. They've realized that most of what we stress about is either out of our control or not worth the energy. They've cultivated what Buddhists call equanimity, this balanced mental state where you're not pushed around by every little thing that happens. This doesn't mean they don't care. They do. They just don't suffer unnecessarily. They've trained themselves to respond instead of react. And that's the key difference. Reacting is automatic, emotional, often regrettable. Responding is intentional, measured, wise. The mystic's calm is deep. It's rooted. You can't shake it because it's not dependent on anything external. It's not a performance. It's not trauma armor. It's not even strategy. It's genuine inner peace. And yes, it's rare, because getting there requires years of self-work, meditation, therapy, journaling, failing, learning, and letting go of the need to control everything. Most people never get there, but the ones who do, they move through life like they've got a cheat code the rest of us don't know about.
So, which one are you? Are you the performer, putting on a brave face while internally screaming? Are you the survivor, calm because you've already been through worse? Are you the architect, staying cool because you've planned for every scenario? Or are you the rare mystic, genuinely at peace no matter what life throws at you? Here's the truth. Most of us are a mix. Maybe you perform at work, survive at home, and architect your finances. Maybe you're working toward becoming the mystic, but you're not there yet. And that's okay, because awareness is the first step. The goal isn't to be calm all the time. The goal is to understand your calm, to know where it comes from, what it costs, and whether it's serving you or slowly eating you alive. Because real calmness, it's not about never feeling stressed. It's about knowing yourself well enough to handle stress in a way that doesn't destroy you. All right, that's it for today. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like if this video made you think, and go watch the next video on screen because we're diving into more psychology that'll blow your mind. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.